Om Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. Om. Shloka number 23 of 4th chapter. That is Gatasangasya Muktasya Jnanavasthita Chetasaha Yajnaya Acharatah Karma Samagram Praviliyate. I was trying to explain that word Yajnaya Acharatah Karma. A person whose life is totally transformed into the form of a yajna. That is, the entire lifestyle, his whole life has been transformed into a yajna. For this, I was just trying to tell you the source, because Krishna has not newly introduced this concept. It is there in the Vedas. And I was reading a passage from the Yajurveda, that is Taittiriya Aranyakam, 10-64 of Taittiriya Aranyakam. I was explaining that metaphor where the life of a realized person is whatever he does, whatever action he does, all the actions are so pure. And that is what he was explaining. Uraha Vedihi, Hridayam Yupaha, Kama Ajyam. And what is the Ajyam which he is pouring? That is the oblation which he is pouring. The fuel is Kama. And what is the Pashu which he is sacrificing there? The Pashu which he is sacrificing there is Manyu, that anger. So the metaphor goes on like that. And Damashamaita Dakshina. Dama is Indriya Nigraha. Indriya Nigraha is restraint of the senses. So that is what is the Dakshina he is offering. Which means he never causes any hurt to anybody. He is always kind to anybody. He is not only kind, Dama is totally restrained in his behavior. So that is what happens. And Vag Hota, Pranaha Udgata. And also Yavadhriyate Sa Diksha. Yavadhriyate means as long as he lives, or the whole lifetime. The whole lifetime is like a diksha. We come across some diksha. So for example, somebody is in Hanuman diksha, or somebody is in Ayyappa diksha for 40 days or something. Hanuman diksha may be some other duration. So like that we take up some diksha. But here the diksha is for the entire life. The entire life is a diksha. And yad ashnati tad havihi. Whatever he takes in, that is like a havi. That is, whatever he takes in, that also whatever he takes in is something which is totally a pure thing or legal thing, moral thing, in accordance totally with dharma. So like that it goes on. It is a sort of extended metaphor. So here we coming back to this our Gita shloka. Yajnaya acharatah karma samagram praviliyate. For a person who is performing his activities in such a pure manner, his entire life is comparable to a yajna. The entire lifestyle is comparable to a yajna. So from like this, from this shloka onwards, next few more shlokas, the same concept continues. It is like a sort of elaboration on what the Taittiriya Aranyakam says. Then the next shloka says, then what about, how does it happen? How is it happen and what exactly does he do? This Jnani we talked about earlier, Yajnaya Acharatah Karma, Samagram Praviliyate, etc. How does it happen? And what is his frame of mind? So the next shloka, 24th shloka I will read. Brahmarpanam Brahma Havihi Brahmagnau Brahmana Hutam Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. So this is a shloka on what is called Jnana Yajna. What is this Jnana Yajna? He has a tendency, or he has that awareness to look at everything as Brahman only. He doesn't look at anything, as a particular thing. He looks at everything as that supreme reality only. So Brahmarpanam, suppose he is here, Krishna is giving an example of his times. For example, in his time, he is giving an example of what is called that Yajna. And in that Yajna, there is what is called Arpanam. Arpanam is a type of ladle, as we say, a ladle. The simpler word is a spoon. Spoon, of course, is when we say spoon, some picture comes into our mind. But here this Arpanam is not like that. It is a long stick, and at the end of it there is a spoon-like thing. And in the beginning also there is a small passage. So it is a specially exclusively made spoon. So it is a Arpanam. So that instrument through which this various oblations are poured, that is what is called Arpanam. Then Brahma Arpanam means that instrument through which you are pouring is Brahma from his point of view. And Brahma Havihi, whatever oblation you are putting, that also is Brahma. Then Brahmagnau Brahmana Hutam. Brahmagnau, the Agni also is Brahma, and the person who is pouring also is Brahma. Then Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam. And what is the goal? And the goal also is the Brahma only. And Brahma Karma Samadhina, whatever action he does, that again the whole action is Brahma Karma. And for this Brahma Karma, again the meaning given by the commentators is Sarvatra Brahma Matra Darshanam Brahma Karma. So that is the meaning given. Sarvatra Brahma Matra Darshanam. He does not see anything other than Brahma. So that is Brahma Karma. So here, Krishna has given an example of his times. In fact, we can apply to our own times also. We can apply to our own times. What are the karmas we do? Normally, we don't perform any great yajnas. We perform some sort of vratam in our house. Suppose you are doing some Ganesha vratam, or you are doing some other Satyanarayana vratam, or some other Ananta Padmanabha vratam. At the end of the vratam, there are certain shlokas. And the shloka says, okay, if you are performing Ganesha vratam, and at the end of it you are giving some sort of dhanam, you are gifting something to somebody, there is a mantra, there is a shloka which says, Ganesho pratigrunnhati, Ganesho vai dadati cha. The person who is receiving, he is Ganesha, and the person who is giving, he is also Ganesha, and the whole universe is Ganesha. It says like that. Suppose you are performing Ananta Vratam. So there it says Ananto pratigrunnhati, Ananto vai dadati cha. That is the person who is giving, he is also Ananta, and the person who takes, he is also, who gives, he is also Ananta, and the whole universe is also Ananta. You are not different from that. The whole Anantamayam or Ganeshamayam Jagat. So like that it says. So everywhere this concept has been built into our rituals. Or this concept of trying to gradually an ordinary grihastha, an ordinary man who is performing a sort of ritual, maybe for some benefit. So gradually when he looks into these meanings of these things, gradually he will get he will get into the meaning. He will get into the meaning of these verses, and then gradually gets enlightened. So that is probably the idea of our ancestors in prescribing these rituals, and also putting all such lines into those rituals. They have rather built in some sort of Vedantic concepts into the rituals. So here, Brahmaiva tena gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. We can take a more mundane or official example. Suppose you are working in an office, and you are working when we are working in an office, we are dealing with so many human beings and their papers. So that also, like what Krishna says here, Brahma Arpanam Brahma Havi, the spoon is Brahma, the Havi is Brahma, Agni is Brahma, etc., etc. You can also apply to that. The paper in which you see, there is a person behind that paper. There is a file, suppose there is a file which comes to you, and behind that file there is the life of a human being. Somebody has applied for something, somebody is having some problem, somebody is having some other issue. So that is in front of you. And you are supposed to take the right decision. You are supposed to take a decision in accordance with Dharma. So that is also Brahma. And what the decision you take also is Brahma. Suppose you are a person stationed in the awareness of that Brahma, then what is the type of decision you take? You will take a decision which is totally in accordance with Dharma, where you don't have any personal issue, you don't have any notion of I, mine, etc. You don't even have a notion that, okay, I am doing Dharma. Even that is not there. All your actions, they automatically take place according to Dharma. So that sort of example also we can take, because all our actions are guided by that Brahman awareness. So here what we see is Jnanam is also equated with Brahma. Jnanam is what is called Brahma. And here the commentators have also mentioned the reason. Commentator uses a particular long word, Kriya, Karaka, Phala, Bheda, Buddhi. We should not get frightened by that words. Kriya, Karaka. Kriya means the action, whatever karma you are doing. Karaka means whatever sadhanam, whatever implements we are having. And Phalam is what is the result we are getting. So that sort of distinction, Bheda Buddhi. Bheda Buddhi means you are seeing everything distinctly. So that Bheda Buddhi has disappeared in the case of a Jnani. A Jnani looks at everything as Brahman only. So that Bheda Buddhi has totally disappeared. That notion of duality, that feeling of distinction has totally disappeared. So that Bheda Buddhi has disappeared. So that is the reason why his entire lifestyle, all his actions, they can be called Yajna. So that sort of meaning is given in this shloka. Then the commentators, of course, have given a long commentary on this. We go to the next yajna, next shloka, which is also talking about partly about Jnani and partly about others. That is 25th shloka. I will read the shloka. Daivameva pare yajñam yoginah paryupasate brahmagna vapare yajñam yajñena ivopajuhvati. Daivam eva apare yajñam yoginah paryupasate. Apare yoginah. That is some other people. Some other people. Who are these people? It is actually referring to the karma yogi. I hope you still remember what is a karma yogi. Karma yogi is a person who is doing a particular action not for any self, not expecting any fruit of that karma, but he is doing it as part of his dharma, as part of his duty, as something which is ordered by the divine, putting himself in the shoes of the divine, and he is doing his action with Ishwararpana buddhi. All these things we discussed in that karma yoga. So karma yogi is talked about here, or a person who is a devotee who is also again not somebody who goes to Tirupati and has a long list of desires. We are talking about an ordinary devotee, a simple devotee who is just simply is devoted to God without seeking any great benefit. So we are talking about some devotee who is doing devotion for Chitta Shuddhi, that is purification of his mind. The objective of Karma Yogi also is Chitta Shuddhi. The objective of devotee is also Chitta Shuddhi. So, Daivameva apare yajñam yoginah paryupasate. The meaning here is, Daivam yajñam itare yoginah paryupasate. That is, Daivam yajñam means what? Daivam. What is the meaning of Daivam? Deva means God. Daiva means something relating to God. Deva, we should remember, Daivam and Deva are not equal. Deva means God. Daivam is something relating to God. So, Daivaha yajñaha means a yajña which is relating to God. Suppose somebody is performing a yajña, suppose somebody, for example, Bruhaspati Yaga. Bruhaspati Yaga suddenly comes to my mind because Bruhaspati Yaga some people perform to get, maybe you have to get good results in your exam, something like Saraswati Puja only. Bruhaspati Yaga is a Vedic Yaga, Vedic yajña, where you will get for intelligence, for brilliance, for success in for success in education. So that is the Bruhaspati Yaga, which is in the name of Bruhaspati. Or it may be some other yaga, something relating to Agni, or something relating to Indra if you want political power. Or if you want to do something, if you want your enemies to be destroyed, you are performing some Chandi Yagam or something like that. So like that, you are performing yajñas. But here we are not talking about Chandi Yaga. We are talking about something which is which the gentleman is performing only as part of his duty, because a Gruhastha is supposed to do some yajña. Why, you may ask, we may have a question, why should a Gruhastha do a yajña at all if he has no desires? A Gruhastha is mandated to do yajña. In fact, our books, they say, every Gruhastha is expected to do yajña. Jata putraha Krishna Keshaha Yajeta. There is an order like that in somewhere in the Vedic literature. Jata Putraha means a person who has got a son. That means a person who is newly married and he has also got a son. Not only son, maybe daughter, whatever it is. Then Krishna Keshaha. Krishna Keshaha means still having some dark hair. A person with dark hair. That means he has not become old. He is in his 30s or maybe some 25, 30, something like that. So such a person, such a Gruhastha, he is supposed to perform a yajña before he gets too old. So that is what is the mandate. That means a person, and when he is performing yajña, why is he performing yajña? Yajña is a sort of economic activity. We discussed even earlier. Yajña is an economic activity in which so many people, particularly in olden days, if somebody is performing a yajña in a village, in the village there are so many people who are employed in that. Some weaver is employed, some potter is employed, some ironsmith is employed, some other carpenter is employed. So many, about 100 people are employed in that. So that is a sort of economic activity. Maybe from that triangle also they might have told. So this person is supposed to do it without seeking the fruit, without seeking any sort of punyam. So this first line is talking about those people. Daivaha yajñaha. That is something in the name of a god. These people are performing some yajña. For what? For Chitta Shuddhi only, not expecting fruit. Daivameva apare yajñam yoginah paryupasate. Then Brahmagnau apare yajñam brahmenaiva upajuhvati. Brahmagnau apare. Brahmagni. Brahmagni is again a very important word. Brahmagni is, that is awareness, being in the awareness of Brahman. That itself is Agni. That knowledge is somewhat like Agni only. That knowledge is like Agni only. That awareness, that realization is like Agni. So in that Agni, they, what is the offering they are giving? They are offering themselves. They are offering their own antahkarana. That is apare yajnam yajnenaiva upajuhvati. Yajnam, for the word yajnam, the meaning given here is the self. I am offering my own self into that Brahmagni, which means, what does it mean? That I am losing my individual ego, or rather I am offering my individual ego. I am negating my individual ego. I am saying I am not this antahkarana, I am not this body-mind complex, I am that supreme reality. I am not different from that supreme reality. So that is what is Brahmagnav arpanam, atmanam atmanah arpanam. That is Brahmagnav apare yajnam yajnenaiva upajuhvati. So that is realizing I am not this body-mind complex. So I am burning my body-mind complex metaphorically in my bhavana, not physically. I am not getting into fire. Metaphorically, I am negating my identity as the body-mind complex, and in other words, I am burning it in the knowledge of the awareness of Brahman. So I am actually burning away my antahkarana, burning away my individual ego. I am totally deleting my individual ego. So a jnani is one who has zero ego, a zero self. So that is what we see here. It is like the commentators also give the examples of what is called a ghata akasha and maha akasha. Ghata akasha means, suppose you take a vessel. Ghata means you take any vessel. And any vessel, there is some space in that. And suppose that ghata is broken. What happens to the space? The space is very much there. Space and the Mahakasha, there is no great difference in there. There is no difference at all. So like that, this Ghata Akasha, when does it become Mahakasha? When it becomes aware, I am not this Ghata Akasha, I am that Mahakasha, when it becomes aware. Or when the wave realizes that it is not different from the ocean. Wave and ocean, they are not different. Wave, so long as it thinks I am a small wave, it is a wave. When it realizes, I am pure water, I am not different from that ocean, then it is ocean. So like that. So Brahmagnav apare yajnam yajnenaiva upajuhvati. So that is what we find in this shloka. So here the first line is about, as we see, the first line is about karma yogi and bhakti. The second line is about the jnani who has offered his own individual ego in that fire of awareness of Brahman. That is there is one more word here, that is he is offering his lower self, and offering his lower self and assuming that higher self, he is offering that lower self in the fire of knowledge. Then we go to the next shloka, which is also almost on the same line, which is talking about other people, some lower level of people. Some lower level means they are not the highly enlightened people, they are ordinary people, and those ordinary people who are also on the right path, they are on the right path. We can also say that this is being suggested by Krishna for all the people. This is being suggested. People do like that. You are also supposed to do something like that. He is suggesting. So this next shloka is 26th shloka. Shrotradin indriyanyanye sanyamagnishu juhvati shabdadin vishayananye indriyagnishu juhvati. This looks rather, what is this Agni and what is all this Homa, etc., etc. We have to patiently understand. This shloka says, Shrotradin indriyani anye sanyamagnishu juhvati. So here the fire is sanyama. Sanyama means self-restraint. Self-restraint is the fire. And what is it you are offering into that? You are offering your sense organs into the into that fire of restraint, self-restraint. All this we have to understand metaphorically only. So samyama is what? That is self-restraint. In fact, samyama is a technical word according to Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Patanjali Yoga Sutra, it says dharana, dhyana, samadhi. These three, in fact, dharana, dhyana, samadhi are the sixth, seventh and eighth stages. So those three, trayam ekatra sanyamaha, all these three collectively are called sanyama. We know that there is what is called ashtanga. What is this? Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. That is, they are the 8 steps. In that 8 steps, the 6, 7 and 8, these 3 are collectively called Sanyama. A person in whom the Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi are there, that is what is called Sanyama. So this Samyama, this particular gentleman who is practicing Dhyana Yoga and he is in that Sanyama, he is offering his Indriyas. He is offering his Indriya, Shrotradini Indriyani. So he is offering his Indriyas into that. Harihi Om Tat Sat.